One of these 3 books could change your life. I mean, for the better, they're not going to make it worse. But it's not just these 3. There are other similar books that cover the same information. There's this article here from Newsweek with my scribblings all over it. And there's this article from The New Yorker. And they all cover essentially the same information in different ways. It's essential information, and if you don't know about it, you're at a definite disadvantage. There's this widely held belief that if you want to achieve something, I don't know, you want to lose weight or eat more healthily, exercise more, or develop a good study habit, what you need is willpower. You need to be in a constant battle with yourself. And if you fail, well, it's because you didn't have the willpower. You didn't have enough strength to prevail. But it turns out that this is actually completely false. Scientific research has found that in these types of scenarios, willpower is pretty ineffective. And what you need to use is habit formation. And you can use an understanding of habit formation to achieve, well, pretty much any goal that you want. So in this video, I'm going to share with you the 3 things that you need to do in order to start any good habit or kick any bad habit, all based on scientific evidence. And then I'm going to tell you which of these 3 books on habits is my favourite. But first, let me tell you a little bit about habits themselves. Okay, so here's a question for you. How much of your life do you think is controlled by habit? According to the author of this book, Wendy Wood, who has done research into this, it's 43%. For the sake of efficiency, our brains hand a lot of the work over to habits so that we can have more brain power for the important stuff. And so habits just form anyway. It's like we've got this second self that we're not completely conscious of, just working in the background, doing things for us. How many days do you think it takes to establish a habit? On average, it's 66 days. The first technique is what Wendy Wood in her book calls context. And this is where you create an environment and a situation that encourages a good habit and discourages a bad habit. So that might be something as simple as, I don't know, replacing your biscuit tin with a fruit bowl. Or if you want to reduce the amount of TV that you watch, taking the batteries out of your TV remote control. And you might think, can something as simple as this be effective? And it can, and there's scientific evidence to back it up. There was a study in 2017 which analysed phone location data, and it found that people who lived 3.7 miles on average from a gym went 5 times or more a month, and people that lived 5.1 miles from a gym only went once a month. And so that really small difference in distance had a huge effect on the number of times that they went. And this has been replicated and shown in many, many different studies. So instead of using willpower, what you need to do is put a lot of effort into creating your environment so that it encourages the habit that you want to create. If that's a study habit, it might be something as simple as making sure that you always go to the library to study. Or if you're studying at home, you can set up an area that's quiet, free from distractions, that has everything you need to reduce the friction of you deciding to go to study. And this book gives dozens of examples of how manipulating your environment can fuel habits. In psychology, it's referred to as friction, and this is a concept that fast food companies understand really well, which is why they always ask you, do you want fries with that? Until we've laid down a habit, it is deliberate and effortful. And then at some point it becomes second nature, and that happens with repetition. And as I mentioned earlier, it takes about 66 days on average to establish a new habit. So what you have to do during that period is ensure that your environment is very conducive to establishing that new habit, and then just keep repeating that behavior for 66 days until it becomes second nature, and then it'll be a habit that you never have to really think about, you'll just do it automatically. I know I said earlier that habits are insensitive to rewards, and they are once they've been established. But when you're trying to establish them, you have to have some kind of intrinsic reward to that habit, and it has to come at the moment of doing the habit. It can't be a reward that happens at some unspecified time in the future. Now that's a little bit woolly, I know, have a reward. What does that actually mean? Well, let's say you were trying to establish, I don't know, a study habit. It's best that your reward is some kind of intrinsic reward, so that might be that you feel better because you're studying. But that's not going to come straight away, so you need some kind of reward hack. And that might be that after an hour of studying, you can watch your favourite TV show, or watch a film, or go for a walk, or a bike ride, or something that you enjoy doing. Or it could be that you have a packet of biscuits or a bowl of ice cream, but that might be in conflict with other goals that you have too. So you pick the reward that you think will work best for you, but over time that reward will become more intrinsic, and just the self-satisfaction of studying should be enough to keep you going. And that's it. That's all there is to it. It's really simple. And if you only remember 2 things from this video, make sure it's these. 1, willpower is really not as important as you think it might be. And because it's easier to avoid temptation than to resist temptation, 2, make sure you put a lot of effort into creating an environment that supports the habit that you're trying to develop, or one that discourages the habit that you're trying to stop. Now, let me tell you about these 3 books. Okay, so I have got Good Habits, Bad Habits, the one that you've seen a lot of so far. There is this one, Atomic Habits by James Clear, which is a very well-known book. And then this one, Tiny Habits by B.J. Fogg. Now, my favourite, as you probably guessed, is this one. This one, however, is more of a popular science book than a sort of self-help book. And by that I mean it goes into the science behind habit formation, and it covers a lot of the research, but it's less of a how-to. All of the how-to is in there, but you have to kind of extract it rather than being given bullet points on what you should do. So if you're interested in the science, read this, but if you want more of an instruction manual, Atomic Habits might be a better choice, because this has a mix of theory and action points. And if you're looking for something that has a lot of practical advice, then I would suggest this one, Tiny Habits. There's the article from the New Yorker and Newsweek, which I mentioned at the start of the video. I will put a link in the description to those. So you've probably noticed that I talk quite a lot about the science of learning on this channel, and I often get asked how to apply it to math science and computer science. Well, a free and easy way of doing that is by going to brilliant.org, the sponsor of this video. Brilliant is the best way to learn math science and computer science interactively. Imagine exploring complex topics in a fun, hands-on way. That's what you get with Brilliant. With Brilliant, you're not just passively consuming information. You're engaging with thousands of skillfully designed interactive lessons, from the basics all the way up to advanced topics. Brilliant adds new lessons every month. Whether you're a beginner or advanced, Brilliant has lessons to fit your needs. You can learn at your own pace, with helpful hints and solutions if you ever get stuck. For instance, in their How Technology Works course, you can find out what really makes a password secure, or how those algorithms decide what video to recommend next. To see how far you could go with Brilliant and to get a free 30-day trial, go to brilliant.org/Python programmer, or just click on the link in the description. And the first 200 of you will get 20% off Brilliant's annual premium subscription.